If you walk into pretty much any office right now, you can feel it, right? There's this buzz. Everyone, and I mean everyone, is playing around with AI. But as all that initial excitement starts to settle, a much bigger question is starting to loom. How do we go from a bunch of scattered, fun experiments to something that makes a real impact across the entire company? And this quote right here, it just nails it. The conversation has totally shifted. It's not if we should be using AI anymore, it's how we can use it really, really well and at scale. That's the puzzle we're going to unpack together. Now, you might think the biggest hurdle is the tech itself, having the fanciest tools or the smartest algorithms. But what's so interesting is that experts from places like IBM and Oracle are saying, nope, that's not it. The real barrier, the real roadblock, isn't the technology. It's the lack of a strong foundation to support it. Things like leadership, data strategy, and just getting everyone on the same page. Okay, so if the foundation is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's not some rigid 10-step plan that's going to break the second it meets reality. It's more like a flexible readiness blueprint, a practical, human-centered way to set yourself up for long-term success. A blueprint is really the perfect way to think about this. You wouldn't build a house without one, right? It's a guide for building something strong and sustainable. And in this case, it's all about focusing on the right things: your people, clear principles, and smart processes. This is so much more than just buying new software. It's about building a real, lasting capability. So this blueprint is basically made up of 5 essential elements. You can think of them as the pillars holding up the whole structure. Let's walk through each one. First up, skills. And look, this is not about trying to turn everyone on your team into a data scientist overnight. Not at all. It's about building curiosity and confidence. Just encouraging people to use AI for small, everyday tasks like, hey, try using it to draft that email, or see if it can help organize your notes. When you do that, the technology becomes way less intimidating, and you start building a culture that can adapt to anything. Next, you need some guidance. Even if you're a small company, you need a few key people who are officially responsible for AI decisions. This little group brings clarity. They're the ones who answer questions like, what data are we allowed to use, and how do we handle the risks? This is how you make sure all your AI efforts are actually pointed in the same direction as your business goals. Now, as more and more people start using AI, you have to have some clear rules of the road. And these aren't meant to hold people back. It's actually the opposite. They're meant to empower everyone. Simple guidelines help people move forward with confidence, knowing they're using these powerful tools responsibly and safely. So what do these guardrails actually look like in practice? Well, they usually cover things like how to handle sensitive customer information, the importance of always quality checking AI-generated work. You can't just copy and paste. And being transparent about when and how AI is being used. These are just practical, common-sense rules for the real world. Element 4 is all about focus. It is so easy to get distracted by flashy, futuristic AI projects. Instead, what you want to do is look for the practical wins. Map out your team's daily workflows and ask a simple question. Where are the bottlenecks? What are the most mind-numbing, repetitive tasks? That's your treasure map. That's where AI can deliver real, immediate value. And here are some perfect examples of what that looks like. A real estate agency could automate property reports, saving hours of work. A consulting firm could instantly analyze thousands of client comments to find key themes. An e-commerce store, they could draft product descriptions in seconds. These aren't science fiction. They're simple, high-impact use cases you can start on today. And the final element, the 5th pillar, is creating a practical roadmap. Now, I'm not talking about some 50-page document that's going to collect dust on a shelf. This is a simple, living plan. What are we going to test first? What are we going to scale next? And how are we going to know if it's working? The whole philosophy here is a learn and scale cycle. It's super simple. You start with small, low-risk experiments. Then you learn really quickly from the results, what worked, what didn't. And finally, you expand on the stuff that works. You just double down on your successes. The best part? This approach works for any business, any size. Okay, so we've covered the 5 elements of the blueprint. That's the what. But now let's get to the so what. Let's talk about why doing this isn't just a good idea, it's a massive competitive advantage. And the data here tells a really fascinating story. First, let's just talk about speed. Nearly 40% of adults started using these new AI tools within just 2 years of their release. To put that in perspective, that's faster than the early internet. The train has definitely left the station. But here's the twist. Despite that insane adoption rate, Get this, only 1% of companies believe they've actually reached AI maturity. 1? That just shows you there's a huge gap between just trying AI and truly mastering it. This chart just lays it out so clearly. You've got this sky-high bar for adoption on one side, and then this tiny little bar for maturity on the other. That gap you see right there, that is the single biggest opportunity for businesses today. So the crucial point, the thing to really take away from all this, is that the companies who are closing that gap are the ones building that foundation we talked about. They're the ones preparing thoughtfully. And because they've built this readiness blueprint, they are going to scale faster, smarter, and with way fewer headaches. So it all comes down to one final question. Your organization is using AI? That's almost a given at this point. The question is no longer if, it's how well. So you have to ask yourself, is your organization truly ready?